Hello and welcome to a DFS strategy video for the 2022 Wyndham Championship. My name is Eric and here at SweetSpotDFS, you should already know, it's all about trying to hit the optimal lineup, and that's what I like to do in these videos. We usually start with the preview video that I put out yesterday, where we target the stats that matter the most in our hopes of hitting the optimal lineup. Here in the strategy video, it's putting all those pieces together, adding in a few more, including the sweet spot ranks, the marquee tee times, as well as the anchor buckets, to really narrow down our player pool and try to obviously hit the optimal lineup. So that's what we're going to do in this one. But first, let's go over some things. The first being, I'm doing a little merch drop, doing a little group order. If you want in on this, all you have to do is check the link in the description below. I'll have a link that gets you straight to this group order. You can choose any one of these. So I have just kind of a normal t-shirt that you can hit. That you can, select, or a perfect T-neck. This is more of a premium shirt. Obviously, we have a women's t-shirt and then a sweatshirt. So each of these shirts costs $12. The sweatshirt costs $40. You're not going to see a size. Basically, what's going to happen is you're going to put an order in, and I'm going to get your contact information. I will reach out to you by the time that this closes, and asks, or when I close this, I should say, when I order it, I will ask for payment. If you choose not to, then I'll just cancel your order. But if you want any of these things, again, shirts are $12, the sweatshirt is $40. The more people that we get in this, the cheaper the items cost. Not by much. We're talking like pennies. So it's not a big deal. Let's say, well, I should say if we get like 20 more people in, maybe we can shave off $1. But anyways, a $12 shirt with, SweetSpotDFS, it's just, your way of supporting me. I'm not getting anything out of this, by the way, so it's not like your $12 at all is coming towards me. It's just having a little bit of merchandise that says SweetSpotDFS on it. So if you're interested, again, there's a link in the description below, which will lead me to, you could use some money from the giveaway that I'm providing to order some of these shirts. Remember, we have to hit the goal before I give away the money on the screen. This week it's worth $50, this giveaway. If we don't hit the goal, I'm rerunning it next week, but I'm shaving $10 off of it. So it'll go from 50 to 40. But all of your entries, and I should explain this, you get a free entry by being subscribed to this channel and commenting on any of the videos I'm putting out this week. Again, I put a preview video yesterday, so you can go revisit that one, put a comment there, you get one free entry that way. That is, if you are subscribed. And then you put in another comment down below in this video. Now you have 2 entries. These entries aren't going to go away until I run the giveaway. And I understood, or I know I said, if we don't hit our goal, we rerun it next week. But again, your entries from this week will then get put into next week's, and so on and so forth until we run this giveaway. So hopefully that's clear. I know I had some questions in my preview video as to what, how to enter this giveaway, how to get, or I should say how to get entries into this giveaway. Again, it's just participating on the channel. It's my way to reward you guys for participating on the channel. So again, be subscribed and comment down below. That gets you a free entry. Go visit the preview video, comment on that one. Boom, you've got 2 entries. And if you're on Twitter, retweet the preview video I put out yesterday, or when I put the strategy video out today, retweet that, you get a free entry, and it's just limited to 1. So you can retweet the preview or the strategy. If you do both of them, I appreciate it, but you're only getting 1 free entry regardless. So you can get up to 4 this week, because I do have a prize picks video out that will be going out tomorrow. So 3 videos that you comment on, 3 entries that way, and then 1 additional one by retweeting anything that I post on Twitter regarding these videos. So hopefully that's clear. If you want to play prize picks, if you're in a state that allows it, and you want to try it for free, all you got to do is sign up using the promo code SweetSpot, put $20 in your account, and I will refund you $20 the very next day. So it takes you to do that initial deposit as well as that sign up information. But once you do that, I will get an email with your contact information, and I will reach out to you to see how you would like your $20. Now, PrizePicks is going to match your deposit up to $100. So that 20 turns into 40. But you don't have to just put $20 in. You could put 100 in, and you'll get an additional 100 from PrizePicks plus 20 from me. So it's just bonuses and benefits all around. There is a link in the description below if you do want to sign up using that promo code SweetSpot. Highly encourage you guys to go do that. All right, a few more things to go over. I know this has been a lot longer than it usually is, primarily because of the merchandise drop. I have a cheat sheet that's available. So let me go ahead and put that on the screen. Everything that I'm going to be going over in this video, you can follow along with. I now have the tournament information in with all the tee times and stuff like that. We have the SweetSpot ranks, as well as kind of the color combination to go over the marquee tee times, which I will be covering in this one. And you get to see everything that I'm talking about. I just updated it before going on to this video. Things will change when we have withdrawals like Johnny Vegas. Sung You'll Know is another one down here. I think Ryan Armour. I haven't updated that one yet, but this one will be out as well. Might as well update it while we're talking. So yeah, I will update these, and of course, when people withdraw, then the rankings kind of switch around. I shouldn't say switch around. Basically, if say Johnny Vegas was the 19th ranked golfer, you remove him from it, number 20 becomes number 19. So small little updates, small changes, but changes nonetheless. But you can follow along with me. There's a link in the description for this cheat sheet. And of course, when we go over the anchor buckets, you can follow along with me here as well. One thing I ask you to do, go up to the file menu and make a copy. That way you can use all the filters that I've already put into the spreadsheet, because currently as it sits, if you go visit this, you only have read access. So make a copy to your Google Drive, and you will actually get the filters that I put in there. And then you can modify it however you'd like. Not saying you need to or anything like that, but you can if you want. But yeah, make a copy first. And then I am also providing a optimizer. So it's ran on Microsoft Excel. You need the full Microsoft Excel version. You can't just have a reader or anything like that. If you do want this, you got to be subscribed to this channel. If I don't recognize you and you're emailing me saying, hey, I'd like this, I'm going to ask if you're subscribed. So you got to be subscribed to the channel. Just no ifs, ands, or buts. If you do want it, though, reach out to me at SweetSpotDFS@gmail.com. Let me know you'd like this. Leave a comment on this video. You might as well get yourself a free entry into the giveaway as well. And then the optimizer is yours for this week. And I update it every single week. Everything that I will be talking about in this video is already loaded into this optimizer. So this little box here between column R and U is what I call the conditional box. This includes your whole bucket system and the marquee tee times that I have here, as well as the AM PMs, because I'm kind of a weirdo when it comes to that. I don't want to have all 6 golfers in the AM, and I don't want to have all 6 golfers in the PM. Regardless of what people like to think with weather stacks and just unique lineups, you will always see at least one from the opposite wave in the optimal lineup. I have yet to seen it otherwise. So again, I chase the optimal lineup. I'm trying to build lineups to hit the optimal or get really close to hitting the optimal. So again, all that information is already loaded in here. You don't have to change anything. Just to give you a little head, just to show you, like to prove to you, the metric that you see here is based off of the SweetSpot score. So Will Zalatoris 1189 or 1118.89. If we go to the dream sheet and we check out Will Zalatoris again, you can follow along here. 1118.69. I must have messed that up. 69. Yeah, okay. So all of those scores are loaded in here. You can modify this however you'd like. So if you like a player more than another, bump up their points. Then the optimizer will select them more, and it'll use the bucket system to find the right pairings to go on or to go with your golfer. So super easy. I love the optimizer. It makes building lineups easy for me because everything that I believe in when building lineups, I already have coded into this optimizer. So again, that's available for you guys if you'd like. Just email me at SweetSpotDFS@gmail.com and I'll send it your way. Okay, I think it's enough, right? Let's go ahead and get into this video. And we're going to start with the SweetSpot ranks. So we kind of already went over it. I'm going to hide this column here. I would suggest doing the same at home if you're following along with the cheat sheet. These ranks are based off of my scoring model, which you're going to find in columns DH all the way to DZ. And then you're going to see the score that gets updated. Now, I included this other column just to show the golfers that are out, like Johnny Vegas, mostly because I have streamlined this process for me to work off of another spreadsheet. So if DraftKings makes updates, I just re-download that import sheet that they provide, put it into that other spreadsheet of mine. It makes all these updates in real time, and then I can come over here and copy and paste it and then not have to worry. What happened before would be like if I already excluded Johnny Vegas, well, guess what? DraftKings doesn't exclude Johnny Vegas on their spreadsheet. So it would re-update my old one, and then I'd have to go in and make all the same changes that I already did to exclude Johnny Vegas. So that's why I include him now. I'm going to include him until lineup lock happens, and then I'm going to kick him out because I don't want to see his information when I analyze this next year. Hopefully that makes sense. But yeah, this is how the scoring works. And just to let you know what the stats I'm using, OWGR, this kind of just gives you an all-around picture of how good these golfers are. I would want to include it no matter what, because your top price guys are good for a reason, and it's going to show in the OWGR. So I have no issue using this for a piece of the model. Then I'm going into the grass stats, which is your Bermuda stats. It's all Bermuda here. There's no grass 2, despite me showing you grass 2. As you can see, everyone has the same amount of points in each of these columns, so you can just ignore that. We're using tournament information, which for this tournament is actually just course history, I should say. If I said tournament information, I mean tournament history. It's just course history. Then I'm using season-long, bogey avoidance, birdie or better, and driving distance, as well as these recent form stats, DraftKings points, average finishing position, and round-by-round scoring average. And then season-long stats, I've included DraftKings points, scoring average, round under 70%, cut made percentage, and DK top 10. Most of these stats, or at least these season-long stats, if they're the best golfer in that stat, they're going to have 100 points. And then everything scales down from there based off of where each of those players sits behind the top-ranked golfer in that stat. And of course, that creates a score, which then creates a ranking. Simple enough, right? Now, I use these rankings. Obviously, I just showed you I use them in the optimizer. So if you do want this and I send it to you, it's going to be based off of the scores that you see here as well as on the cheat sheet. Now, I will say this, like this week, I really like Adam Smalley. So when I look at Adam Smalley's score, I'm probably going to bump that up because I want the optimizer to choose Adam or Alex Smalley more often than not. But as it sits now in my model, he's not ranked super high compared to the other guys, like CT Pan is above him. But I'm going to modify this, and I would suggest you guys do as well if you do get the optimizer. But as it serves now, I mean, that's one piece that the score goes towards is the optimizer. The other piece are called the marquee tee times. And if you followed me before, you know what this is all about. I basically look at your top 7 groups of a tournament, and I have them all. I'm going to highlight them here. This Russell Henley, Alex Smalley group, I believe Johnny Vegas was in their group before, which was a high-ranked golfer, but he obviously withdrew. I don't know who his replacement is. It could have been Grayson Murray. I'm not positive. Tentatively, this is my 5th ranked group. I do like Russell Henley and Alex Smalley. Now, that next golfer could be the 156th ranked golfer in my model, which would then push these guys out of their marquee tee time. But currently, I'm going to include them. You know, I still like them together. But just so you guys know, if you do get the optimizer, you can just kick these guys out and then add in the next groups that are underneath it. So here are your top 7 ranked groups. Now, I do use group 8 and group 9 in the optimizer, but these are more honorable mentions. They don't really quite follow with the marquee tee time logic that I'm about to say here shortly. So just understand that it is included. Now, if you wanted a replacement for Russell Henley and Alex Smalley, you could include Tyrrell Hatton, Justin Rose, and Luke Donald as the next group. It's entirely up to you guys if you get the optimizer. But what I do with the bucket or with the Marquee Tee Time logic, if you've been around, if you've seen this before, you already know. But I select 2 to 4 golfers from the groups I've already selected that I've highlighted here. So these top 7 groups, find 2 to 4 golfers to anchor your lineups around. So let's say you like Will Zalatoris this week. Now find 1 or 2 more golfers within these highlighted groups, not in Will Zalatoris' group. That's the other rule. Do not pair golfers up from the same group. Now, it's not so much a rule, I should say, as it's more a guideline. 2 weeks ago at the 3M Open, we had 2 golfers from the same group in the Marquee Tee Times within the optimal lineup. That was the 6th time we've seen it over the last 65 weeks, so your chances of it happening again are very low. Just the percentages in general are low. So I can tell you with confidence, don't do that. Don't pair up a golfer from the same group in your lineups, because I'm going to be 90% successful when saying that. You know, there's a 10% success rate that there will be a golfer from the same group in the optimal lineup. I don't think that's high enough to do, but you're more than welcome to. Like I said, it's a guideline. So what that really means is, like, so you wouldn't pair Will Zalatoris up with Sung Jae or JT Poston, despite them being, you know, pretty decent golfers. Maybe not so much JT Poston, but he can hold his own. He's won this tournament before, I believe. I think so. He has the lowest round, -22. But what you would do is you would pair up Will Zalatoris with, say, Siwoo Kim. They're not in the same group, but they're both in the Marquee Tee Times. Maybe if you didn't like Siwoo, go down to Russell Henley. And if you don't include Russell Henley in your Marquee Tee Times, then find someone else. You know, maybe you like Sebastian Munoz. Maybe you like Corey Connors. It's entirely up to you guys. But what I've seen from here is 2 to 4 golfers are in the optimal lineup within the Marquee Tee Times. To me, it's a wonderful place to start, because you're choosing, again, 2 to 4 golfers, and then you're Xing out each and every one of the other guys. And if you have done the math already, 7 groups times 3 golfers in each of those pairings, that's 21 golfers you're already removing, and these are your best golfers in the field, some of your best golfers in the field. So when you do that, then say you use the optimizer, now it's just going to choose golfers from the remaining groups, and it's going to be really easy to fill in those positions. And again, you get to modify it however you'd like. So if you do like certain players, you know, again, I have the Marquee Tee Times right in here. We don't want to select more than 4, but we want to select at least 2. So it's already coded in there, and we don't select more than 1 golfer from each of those groups, and you can already see them. Zalatoris, Sung Jae Im, JT Poston, all in group 1. So the optimizer will look at this and say, you like Will Zalatoris, you can lock him in, build a lineup. It won't select Sung Jae and it won't select JT Poston. So it's already built in for you. Like I said, I love the optimizer. It's super simple. But for you at home that don't want the optimizer and you're looking for some golfers to anchor around, obviously check out the cheat sheet, or while you're watching this, just make some mental notes. If you do like Zalatoris and some of these other golfers down here, feel free to pair them up, or Sung Jae, or anybody else that you might like. Billy Horschel, Shane Lowry, mix them up with Corey Connors, Munoz, Tom Kim. Up to you guys. But those are your Marquee Tee Times. Now, I'm not going to give you my anchors yet, because I want to go over the anchor buckets first, and then we can come back and try to figure out who the best golfers might be to anchor around based off the Marquee Tee Times. So if you're following with me, go ahead and go down to the bucket system. I'm going to hide some of these columns that you're going to see visible. I'm just going to hide all of this because I don't want to see it. I also don't want to see this one. So what I want you guys to do first is, if you have made a copy, go up to the filter, go to the bucket system, And then right away, we're going to the bucket totals in column L, I believe for you guys. Go to filter by condition and go less than or equal to 30. This will make it easy for you to select golfers from. The less golfers there are, the easier the selection is. And if you have like 70 golfers in one of these buckets, it just makes it's really hard. So then the next piece that I'd ask you to do is go to the max projection, go to filter by condition, and go greater than or equal to 2. Now, if you've followed me along, or if you followed me long enough, you already know that essentially anytime this is over 2, your minimum will be at least 1. So you want to select at least 1 golfer from that bucket. And that's how we find our anchors, because you need to select 1 golfer from these buckets. And it's just easy to select because the numbers are low. If I remove this condition, you're just going to see more buckets to choose from, but you have like 68 golfers to choose from, 64, 66. That becomes kind of a nightmare, and especially in a video where I'm trying to get through this at a decent rate. It's not very good for video quality. So we go less than 30 and we get a select amount of buckets. I usually ignore the salaries as well as the strokes gained buckets. I'm not extremely comfortable with these buckets to choose from. It's good just to see. Maybe we can use the strokes gained bucket because it's decent. But like, I don't know if there's enough data history to normalize those stats. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm sitting at. But anyways, here are the 3 buckets we're going to go over. We want to select a golfer who topped 20 this event last year, at least 1 of them, but we can choose up to 3. Course history 2s, that 20 to 40 average finishing position. Doesn't matter if they played 1 event or 7 events, they will fall under this bucket if they have an average finishing position between 20 and 40. And then recent form 2s, which is also that 20 to 40 range. Now, recent form for me is looking at the last 8 weeks. It's really the last 7 weeks, including this week. So I understand that might sound weird, but I'm only going back 7 events because by the time this tournament starts, it's going to be an 8-week period, essentially. And I don't feel like going back further than 8 weeks. That's usually 2 months. So I think that's good enough. Recent form 2s are that average finishing position over the last 8 weeks between 20 and 40th place. So hopefully that all makes sense. Might as well go into these anchor buckets already. So we're going to look at last year ones. Again, we want to choose at least 1 up to 3. And it's a limited bucket. These are guys who topped 20 last year. Starts out with Webb Simpson. Now, for me personally, I'm probably not playing a lot of Webb this week, although he has a crazy track record at this event. It's and when he topped 20s the year before, he tends to top 10 the very next year. So that's kind of what we already have going on for Webb this week. Just kind of scary. And he's really good on Bermuda grass. So hard to ignore Webb this week. It's kind of risky, but I'm going to. I'm going to risk not playing Webb. Now, we have a couple 9K golfers. I really like Russell Henley. And I actually don't mind Adam Scott. So if you guys are kind of thinking about anchoring around those guys, I've got no issue with that. I think that's pretty solid. Moving on from there, we have 4 golfers in the 8K range, headed by Denny McCarthy, Siwoo Kim, Kevin Kisner, and Justin Rose. A lot of people will be on Siwoo Kim this week with good reason. I actually really like Siwoo Kim at this event, and I was thinking about anchoring around Siwoo Kim. Usually I like to start with a 10K and a 9K golfer to anchor around, but Siwoo Kim seems like a pretty solid choice to anchor around. And I mean, Denny McCarthy's no slouch. So I have no issues there. I'm probably going to stay away from Kevin Kisner. I really don't care about his course history. I do to some extent, but watching him golf the last few weeks, the Open Championship, the Rock and Mortgage Classic, he just looked bad. And this is a course that actually benefits him because it's not super long. It requires you to hit more fairways and be really good around the green and on the green. And obviously Kevin Kisner, that's a lot of his strengths. But I just don't care. I don't care to play Kevin Kisner that much, so I'm probably not going to. I don't think he'll be in a lot of my lineups. And I'm not going to go over all of these golfers. I think I'll just stop there and see if I can find any like notable names. I do like Rory Sabatini. he is constantly like top 40 in my model, but in the 6K range. And if you think about it, normally there's about 60 golfers ahead of him in the 7K, 8, 9, and 10K range. Maybe 50 golfers ahead of him. But he's always like ranked 30th to 40th. So he's a good value. And I don't mind Rory Sabatini here. Great course history. Pretty decent on Bermuda grass. Maybe not so much this year, but he has a 16% clip of finishing inside the top 10 on Bermuda tracks. This includes all events, so it could be, you know, the Bermuda Championship, which is a very small field or a very low strength of field, and other alternate events that have Bermuda grass. But either way, decent on Bermuda. I think it's a good choice. I'm not going to talk about anyone else. I think he's probably the only one worth mentioning. Now, as we move on from there, we go to course history 2s as well as recent form 2s. So let's take a look at course history 2. Shane Lowry fits in this bucket, as well as Billy Horschel. 2 10K golfers we haven't seen yet in the anchor buckets. Obviously, we only talked about one, and it was Webb that was in that last one. But we see Russell Henley and Adam Scott once again. I have a very good feeling that it's either Russell Henley or Adam Scott that will be inside the top 10 this week. So I'm very, very, very leaning towards rostering one of them, like anchoring around one of them. I really like Russell Henley. I like that he's playing with Alex Smalley, who's also in this bucket. I really want to play Alex Smalley. I really do. So I don't know if I can actually anchor around Russell Henley. So who knows? Maybe it's Adam Scott. Maybe it's Adam Scott that I'm going to anchor around. We'll see. I mean, it's all about lineup building. You know, when I get down to it, seeing how it all looks, I might change my mind. But I'm kind of leaning that way. And then Siwoo Kim is here. Denny McCarthy. We already talked about those guys. Very good choices. Smalley, Svensson, English. I like those guys in the 7K range. And again, we see Rory Sabatini. Now, remember, when it comes to these anchor buckets, there are limitations. And for course history 2s, I'm saying no more than 3. If you're wondering why I keep scrolling over here, I added these buckets right here this last week. These are kind of more in like trial mode. Like I'm just seeing, you know, how well these work out. And I'm really focusing on this column here. This is a new updated max projection. So some of these, I mean, these are all still over 2, but they might drop based off of what the average SweetSpot score is in each of those buckets. And then obviously that is compared against the other buckets within each of those stat categories to try to figure out which bucket is better in each of those stat categories. Remember, there are 6 stat categories. Last year, last week, course history, recent form, salary, and strokes gained buckets. You see almost all of them here. The only one that we're not seeing is the last week buckets. So those are not an anchor bucket, which again is based off of totals. We want a small total to really try to narrow down on a player pool to choose from. The next one to look at is going to be recent form 2s. We might as well go check that one out. Just also a note, if we see golfers, multiple or the same golfer in each of these buckets, it doesn't mean that they're a slam dunk to finish inside the top 10. It just increases their chances of being in the optimal lineup. Case in point, Adam Scott. He has been in all 3 of the buckets that we just discussed. Anyone else? Doesn't look like it. I mean, it could be one of these 6K golfers, but I wouldn't hang your hat on that. They're 6K for a reason. But yeah, I don't think I've seen. I don't think there's anyone else that I've seen more than twice. Svensson we've now seen twice, but that doesn't really shake me one way or the other. But it's Adam Scott 3 times, and now we see Will Zalatoris and Tyrrell Hatton for the first time. Or the second time. No, first time. Yeah. Will Zalatoris, I do like this week. Really interesting. Because he wasn't in any of the other 2 buckets. And I'm a little concerned by that. But looking at his Bermuda stats, I like Will Zalatoris this week. I think this is a good event for him. We'll see. I don't think I'm anchoring around Will Zalatoris. I think Sung Jae's my guy in the 10K range. Just based off of driving accuracy, I think that's going to matter a lot this week. We'll see. I'm not sure. Again, it's all subject to change, and we'll see how it all shakes out when it comes to actually building lineup. But for the rest of these guys, I don't really mind any of them, to be honest with you. It's good to see Will in one of these buckets, these anchor buckets, and then Adam Scott. Maybe just a really good reason to use Adam Scott this week. Before we go into actually building some lineups, because that is the next thing I want to get to, I want to show you guys something that I used to do in these videos, by the way. Let me just double check. Yes. If you didn't already know this, I've got all these tabs on my original spreadsheet, and this is what drives everything. I call these recent form tabs. So it's looking back at the last 7 weeks, filling in all their recent form or their recent finishes, calculating that into recent form. What is their cut made percentage, their score last year, their course history. These are all lead-in stats, by the way. What I used to do, and this is going to be something that I'll include in my website once that's up and running, is trying to figure out some combinations of a last year finish as well as a last week finish. I didn't really get into like course history and recent form because this was just added, maybe a year or two ago, where I've been looking at last year and last week stats for like 4 or 5 years already. But I wanted to find certain patterns, and I understand these patterns for most people don't even matter that much. But I mean, we're all golfers, right? Most of us are golfers. We're all superstitious to some extent. Having a top 20 finish last year in last year's event and having a top 20 finish the week before is a bucket that when I used to track this and included in my videos, showed up a bunch inside the top 10. If there was a combination to actually choose golfers around, it'd be that one. And just let me show you. Let me go through this. So you've got Webb Simpson, right? With that average, or with that last year, last week with top 20 finishes. Well, if I go to 2020, we've got, not Webb, we got Siwoo Kim in that, if you want to call it, into that bucket combination. We go to 2019, got Webb once again. Top 20 the week or the year before, top 20 the week before. So these would be your last year 1 bucket and last year or last week 1 bucket. So let me say that again. Last year 1 and last week 1. But we also see Billy Horschel with that same combination. And that was the last 2 years. If we go to 2018, there's Webb once again. And we don't see anyone else. There's another combination I want to talk about, which actually we see with Henrik Stenson, which is not playing the year before and having a last week top 20. This one you can see there's no last year, last week. But if I put a filter on this, you're going to see like we only had 6 golfers. And really Kevin Kisner was the only guy. He still finished 40th. So it wasn't a missed cut. Not trying to sell you on that because a 42nd place isn't going to win you a GPP, but it is kind of a fail-safe. If you're playing in one of those cash events or even those winner take all events with 100 people in it, it's a good thing to choose and go through. Sorry, I jumped the gun here. You can see we don't have that here as well, but you do have that did not play the year before with a top 20 the week before. If I put a filter on this, you're going to see all these guys here. Now we have Ben Martin down here who missed the cut that has that last year 1, last week 1 bucket. But then you have Ryan Moore, who also finished, 53rd. And we also have Scott Brown. So we had 3 instances where we had that top 20 the year before and top 20 the week before. One guy missed a cut. The other 2 didn't do all that great, but still not terrible. We move on put a filter on this one. I think we're just going to see a lot of the same. Maybe I didn't get it all the way this far. Again, 43rd position with a top 20 the year before, top 20 the week before. I'll just do one more year. This is 2014. I put this filter on and take the top 20s. We did have Ernie Els that year who top 20'd, but he didn't miss the cut once again. Not so great in these later years where you had the PGA Championship the week before. But once we get past the PGA Championship and we have the other events, I mean, St. Jude was a premium event. I suppose we had the PGA in 2020 as well. So I think the common trend is seeing that top 20 the year before and top 20 the week before. Now, if we go into 2020 and I put a filter on this, we only look at the top 20s. You've got Russell Henley, Siwoo Kim. Those are your only two guys that had that top 20 the year before and top 20 the week before. Is that enough to convince you to play one of those guys? Now, I don't know if I'd play both. It's not really in the cards to do so, but it's also not against, the cards to do so. So really up to you. Very similar course history, so they'll be in the same course history bucket. They'll be in the same recent form bucket. Maybe anchoring around one of these guys, not so terrible. And also, any of these guys who didn't play the year before, remember we kind of went through that trend where you didn't play the year before, but the week before you had a top 20. That showed up quite a bit inside the top 10 as well. So now you've got a couple other good guys here. Tom Kim, Taylor Pendrith, Jason Day, Cameron Champ. Then it's whatever after that. So really some interesting decisions, interesting choices. Last week, I was going to review the Rock and Mortgage Classic in this video, but we've gone too far. I'm not going to. But I anchored around, last week at the Rock and Mortgage Classic, I anchored around Patrick Cantlay, who finished second, who was also in the optimal lineup, who was also in the GPP winning lineup, who was also 40% owned. You already know I don't care about ownership, so not that big of a deal. But I paired up Cantlay with Maverick McNeely, and McNeely was in the Marquee Tee Times as well as a bunch of the anchor buckets that I was choosing golfers around. Buddy of mine pointed out, were you really, or I think when I told him who I'd anchored before the cut happened, he goes, really? You anchored around Maverick McNeely, who played 6 weeks in a row? And I thought to myself, shoot, I didn't even think about that. Like 6 weeks in a row, no, I'm not a proponent of that. There is fatigue that happens. Now, I looked at the Wyndham Championship and I looked throughout the last 6 years and found out some guys who do play 6 times in a row or 6 events in a row have actually had decent finishes at this event. Like, say, Siwoo Kim. He's one. He played the PGA Championship. These 2 weeks were combined, so that would be the Barracuda. So he played the Barracuda, and then he played these other events. So he played 6 events leading into the Wyndham Championship 2 years ago and still finished 3rd. So there are going to be golfers that are going to be just fine. This is the last PGA Tour event before the playoffs. I'm also not a believer, like many of the people that talk about fantasy golf, who think that these golfers are just going to play better based off of how close they are to the playoffs. Like if they were that good, they would just do it, right? And we all know golf. You can't overpower golf. You can outwill golf. Like obviously Tiger Woods was one of the best, but he was also just one of the best golfers in general. One of the most talented golfers. So maybe not possible to even do that. So either way, I wouldn't get so caught up on guys with super, like, I should say fatigue potential, but I will say I won't play more than 2 guys who have 5+ events leading into this event. Especially if 4 of them have been in a row. Remember, the 4 leading into this 2 of them were overseas. You don't, well, 2 of the major events were overseas. I guess the alternate events, the Barracuda and the Barbasol, those were all stateside. So you don't really necessarily have to think of those as being more like tiring, more fatiguing than the other ones. But those that did play at the Genesis Scottish Open as well as the Open, and then played 3M Open and Rocket Mortgage Classic all in a row, those guys I could see being a little fatigued. And you're just gonna have to see that through DraftKings. I don't have anything currently that's set up to show you any of these guys that have played 4 events in a row leading into this event, including the Open or the Genesis Scottish Open. It's all up to you guys to look into that, but I would refrain. So if you're looking for anchor golfers, you know, obviously here in the top 8K and above, we don't have anyone that has played 6 events in a row. You can basically tell that by the John Deere Classic and the Travelers Championship how many openings there are. You know, basically Shane Lowry down to Adam Scott. Those guys haven't. And then you can tell Harold Varner III didn't play at the Genesis Scottish Open, neither the Barbasol or the John Deere Classic or the 3M Open or the Rocket Mortgage Classic. So anyone 8K and above, you can see no one's played 6 events in a row. Feel free to roster any of them. But as we scroll down, you're going to see a lot of these guys. Remember, this is 1 week total. This is another week. These are all paired together because they happened the same week. Both events played in the same week. So when we come down here, you're going to see more golfers who did play 6 weeks in a row, including Colin Tarrant. So there's 1, 2, 3 for this week, 4 for that week, 5, 6, 7. I'm not saying you can't play Callum Tarrant, but if you do play him, try to avoid playing another guy who's played 7 weeks in a row, or even 6 weeks in a row. It doesn't matter to me. Those are very tiring. And I just wouldn't trust it. But when it comes to anchoring, that's basically what I'm getting onto this, is I made the mistake of anchoring around Maverick McNeely last week, who had played 6 weeks in a row. That was very stupid of me. This week, we can be pretty confident anyone 8K and above has not. So you can anchor around those 2. Now, with all that being said, it's time to choose my anchors. And of course, again, we're going to look at the marquee tee times, and we're going to choose golfers based off of the anchor lineups, as well as what else that we just talked about. So here's group 7. I think for me, it is Sungjae Im. I know we didn't really see him in a lot of anchor lineups. In fact, we didn't see him in any of the anchor lineups. And that's fine. Is it fine? Maybe it isn't. Those last year ones. Recent form 2, course history 2. So. Okay. Let's try this again. Now, to me, I think it's Siwoo Kim or it's Russell Henley. I think, okay, here's the other thing too. Remember how many times we saw Adam Scott in the anchor buckets? He's playing with Siwoo Kim. I like both of those guys. I'm not sure exactly who I want to play more than the other. One thing that I've told you in the past is usually pinpoint a group where you'd only want to play one golfer from, and that's easy to make your anchor lineup. So like in this first one, Will Zalatoris, Sungjae Im, JT Poston. I don't really care for JT Poston, but I do like Sungjae and I do like Will. So I'm probably not getting there. Next one, Corey Connors, Tom Kim, Sebastian Munoz. I want to play all of them. So I can't anchor around them. Scott, Siwoo Kim, Jason Day. I can cross off Jason Day. I'm not playing Jason Day, but the other 2, I want to play both of them. Shane Lowry, Billy Horschel, Sepp Straka. I don't care to play Billy. I don't care to play Sepp. Maybe I need to anchor around Shane Lowry. It's a possibility. Russell Henley and Alex Smalley in the next one, and whoever they're paired up with. And again, you can transfer, or you can substitute them out for like Russell Knox, Lee Hodges, Harold Varner III, and for that group, I don't really care either. But I do like Russell, and again, to me, it's kind of like it's Siwoo Kim or it's Russell Henley, and you could pair either one of them with Shane Lowry because they're not in the same group. So I think that's doable. Another consideration I was thinking of was this last group of Keith Mitchell, Tyler Duncan, and Michael Thompson. I don't care for Keith Mitchell, if I'm being honest. I'm sorry. I like Keith Mitchell. Total opposite of what I just said. I like Keith Mitchell. I don't care for Tyler Duncan or Michael Thompson. So I thought about anchoring around Keith Mitchell. Adam Long, CT Pan, and JJ Spawn. I think they're all pretty equal. I don't care to choose one over the other. And even in my sweet spot ranks, they're pretty much equal. 35th, 27th, and 34th ranked. So I don't really care there, but Keith Mitchell almost seems above and beyond the rest of the guys. I shouldn't say the rest of the guys. I'm just saying the easier one to choose. Now, he doesn't have a really good course history. Pretty decent on bent grass or Bermuda grass. He won the Honda Championship, which was on Bermuda grass. But not a very good last year finishing spot. Not a very good, so not very good last year. Didn't play last week, which is a good thing. If you're not top 20 last week, not playing is actually a good sign. Oh man. One of those things that might be easy to choose from Adam Scott and Siwoo Kim is their last week finish. So Scott finished 37th. So if we go back to the buckets and I just take off the filters and we go to last week, that 20 to 40 range, which would be your last week 2 buckets. Actually, let me put a filter back. Easier for you to see. I'm going to remove all these conditions for the anchor buckets and just go to last week bucket. And we're really focusing on that 20 to 40 range because, again, Adam Scott finished 37th. So he's in that 20 to 40 bucket. I'm projecting anywhere between 0 to 2 being in that bucket. And we have seen 0 at this event before. So if we scroll over and kind of look at the quality of the bucket, it's a little bit better. So 1.29 is my new max projection when I look at the quality, whereas 1.12 was the max projection. So it didn't really move up. But I think because it is a decent bucket, that's why it's showing up as good as it is. Could that be Adam Scott? So if we go and we look at our last week 2s, is there anybody in that bucket that we absolutely cannot play? Like, there's just no way we can play. So I like Svensson. We did already talk about Michael Thompson. He was in one of those buckets with Keith Mitchell, who I said I don't care for Michael Thompson. Don't mind David Lipsky. He's okay on Bermuda, it looks like. I like Brandon Wu. I do like Hayden Buckley. I don't mind Sam Ryder, who has at least shown up inside the top 10 of Bermuda events. Maybe this is the time to play Henrik Norlander. I don't know. Probably not. 12.82%, top 10% rate is pretty good. 39 events, so not terrible. Here's what I like about the bucket system. So Sung Kang has been playing just god awful as of late. He's in a bucket that you only want one golfer of, but it's wouldn't be a bad choice. He also has a last year 1. He's in the last year 1 bucket. So that wouldn't be a terrible choice because that is one of our anchor buckets. Now comparing it to Adam Scott, like Adam Scott's way above and beyond anyone else in this bucket. But I think, let's see, how many playables do I think are actually here? Seeing Russell Knox as good as he is on a Bermuda, I don't mind that. So I probably will play Michael Thompson if I'm not anchoring around Keith Mitchell. Lipsky, Buckley, Wu, Ryder. Tempted to play Norlander. Sure. Norlander. That's probably going to be it, if I'm being honest. as much as I just talked up Sun King, I'm probably not playing Sun King. And any of these 6K golfers, I'm not playing more than 4%. And you're just cross those off. So there's 4 golfers right there. Siwoo Kim, top 20 finish last week. You have Zalatoris. You have Henley. Siwoo. Now again, we could anchor around Henley and Siwoo. We could also anchor around Zalatoris and Siwoo Kim. Because if we go to our last week ones, somewhere between 0 to 2 here as well. But more likely seeing 1, at least 1. And when it comes to the quality, it's exactly the same. 1.83 if we were to adjust based off of my sweet spot ranks. And then how I have it currently. So with that being said, that doesn't help at all. This actually doesn't help Siwoo Kim. It helps out Adam Scott more than it does Siwoo. Now, how many playables do I have here? Zalatoris, Henley, for sure. Same with Kim, Pendrith, Stallings. I'm gonna say, is JJ Spawn a playable this week? I'm gonna say no. Taylor Moore, don't mind that. I like Vince Whaley this week. I don't mind Charlie Hoffman. So I have a count of 8, not including Siwoo Kim. That is, and if we take away the 6K, that's 7. That is far more away than Siwoo Kim. I mean, there's more playables in this bucket with Siwoo Kim than there was in the Adam Scott bucket. Now, this wasn't an anchor bucket. There's definitely a chance 0 golfers from this bucket show up. There are only 5 golfers in the 7K range and above. So, is it Adam Scott? This would be actually a good point to have a live chat to actually talk about this. Like Svensson this week. Yeah, I guess I don't really trust Siwoo Kim all that much, so I think we're going with Adam Scott. So, Adam Scott. Who do we pair Adam Scott up with? 92, which is a great price tag. This would actually be a really good moment to have live chat. Who do we pair Adam Scott up with? Adam Scott to go with a 10K golfer, like say Sung J M. Seems pretty doable. How about we do that? Let's try it out. Let's lock those guys in. So let's go with Sung J as well as Adam Scott. Let's just run a couple lineups here. So one of these golfers is in the PM wave, one of them's in the AM wave. I like that. And the very first group that it created, I absolutely love. We got Keith Mitchell in there. We have Sebastian Munoz. So those are 4 golfers in the Marquee tee times. Remember, we don't want more than that. Pretty solid. Harris English and Matthias Schwab. I'm going to actually drop it down to 3 because we're just going to constantly get, I've already ran this a bunch of times. We're going to constantly get Mitchell and Munoz. So let's go ahead and rerun this with just 3 in the Marquee tee times. Now, Streelman shows up with Harris English and Taylor Moore, which we were just talking about in that Siwoo Kim bucket. Stallings, Munoz, Svensson. Svensson would be in the Adam Scott bucket, right? Svensson is what, $7,500? So we are looking at, yeah, last week twos. He sure is. He and Adam Scott are in that same bucket. Let's run it again. If we see Svensson, I'm just going to knock down that bucket to just 1. But we don't. But it does show up another guy in there. Switch that to a 1. Again, you can change these however you'd like to see. I'm just putting in the minimum and maximum projections. You can update it however you like. Now with just 1 last week too. I love Wise this week. I really love Davis Riley this week. I kind of want to anchor around just going with Davis Riley. Like, I don't mind doing a Davis Riley Adam Scott and just seeing if the optimizer will select a 10K golfer. If it doesn't, then so be it. That one is a pretty sexy lineup. And it's just going to continue. Okay, so now I'm in love with the optimizer doing this. Please don't change anything. Sure, keep Malnati's a great Bermuda golfer. Might as well. Yeah, okay. So I think we found the sweet spot. pun intended. Man, Riley, Wise, and Mitchell. Those 3 golfers, I don't mind having in my Adam Scott, anything on those lines. Okay, here's a fun thing to do. Let's say you don't care for Group 9. So Group 9 has Taylor Pendrith in it. It's got Harold Varner in it. And it has probably crappy golfer down here, Austin Cook. What you could do if you wanted to, go ahead, delete those. I don't want to confuse. Yeah, I'll just have to update this. I'm gonna copy and paste these off to the side so I don't forget them. I tend to do that quite a bit. So copy and paste that there. Copy and paste this here. The other 9 will copy and paste that here. And then delete those. So what I'm trying to tell you is, say you liked Davis Riley, make him a 9. If you liked Wise, make him a 9. And say Mitchell, he's already a 7, but we could change that if we wanted to include him as a 9. And then the other guys that he's going to be paired up with, we're just going to say no to. So any of the other 7s. So Michael Thompson, we can just say no. Any other set? Where was the other set? Tyler Duncan. You can just say no. So now I won't pick anyone that's in Group 7 because we're already. Here's Michael. Here's my plan. I'm sorry. I have not yet explained this. So we have Aaron Wise as a golfer in Group 9, Riley as a golfer in Group 9, and Keith Mitchell in Group 9. So we go down to Group 9. Now you can add the minimums here as you'd like, as well as the maximums. Let's say we don't want more than 3, but we want at least 2. And why don't we update this down here, since we're adding 2, let's update these to 4 to 6. We already know Keith Mitchell was in 1, so maybe we just change that to 5. Here's the whole thought process. I want the optimizer to select at least 2 of those golfers. So I can tell the optimizer to do that by making it select at least 2 golfers from Group 9. Obviously there's no more than 3, but we can put the max of 3 because I wouldn't mind having those 3 golfers in that lineup. And remember, they're not teeing off together. They're not in the same groups. So we can have all 3 of them in there. Now then the optimizer is going to select 2 more. We can actually have them select 3 more because, again, remember, we're making sure they select 2. The optimizer selects 2. So Keith Mitchell will most likely be one of them, meaning he will add to the actual marquee tee times. But if we're selecting 1 more, we can actually subtract this by 1 because of Keith Mitchell. That would be 5. And then another 1 because that other guy isn't in the marquee tee times. Actually, you wouldn't do that. You just subtract by 1. So it'd be 5 and 3 is what I want. There we go. Yes, perfect. Okay, so we run optimizer. It's going to select at least 2 of those guys. Riley and Wise, there we go. Run it again, see what it does. Yeah, so it's just going to be Wise and Riley, which, terrible. How about we don't like Stuart Sink? He keeps popping up. He's kind of ruining things for me. Raining on my parade. Let's go ahead and run this. And now we add Steven Yeager, Danny Willett. Danny Willett, number 128 in the FedEx Cup, or 126. To play well. Cameron Champ, Austin Cook. Austin Cook was actually in a marquee tee time, so not good. Grayson Sig, Doc Redman. That's actually a pretty good line. So you can see that it's not selecting Keith Mitchell for whatever reason. So we can go here and just say, all right, how about we X out Aaron Wise? Make it cheaper for us. Maybe the optimizer will select other good golfers. And it errors out. Now, the reason this errored out is because all of my conditionals here, when I put them all together and add these guys, and I force it to select Keith Mitchell, it doesn't like it. So there's a bucket that Keith Mitchell's a part of that is causing issues. So I wonder what that is. I wonder if it's the last week. Let's see if we can do this. Because remember I changed that earlier. Let's see if it'll update. No, still errors out. Doesn't like it. So it looks like Keith Mitchell wouldn't be the correct guy to anchor around. Is unfortunate. Well, I'm not going to figure it out talking to you guys right now. So I just wanted to show you that you can do that. Go ahead and change everyone back to where they were. And run this and just anchor. Riley was not a 9. Wise. Their Pendrith was, and Garner. Everything's there. Well, let's say we do want Keith Mitchell. Let's see who he'll be paired up with. No one really. It is possible that we have too many strict. And plus, I'm creating unique lineups, so it's probably going through all of this and being like, yeah, this isn't doable. Let's see. If we scratch everything. Okay, we already looked at that lineup. That was a good one. But let's say we do like Davis Riley. Ooh, it could be the morning tee times. I might have too many morning guys. So Riley and Mitchell are morning golfers, but so too. That doesn't make sense. PM, AM. Who knows? We'll see. We'll see what this does. We have 3 AM golfers we're choosing already. It doesn't like that. So we cannot put Mitchell together with Davis Riley, but we can put Riley and Aaron Wise together. I like that a lot. I don't care for Kelly Craft. That is whatever. Okay, we already looked at that one. That is so crazy. So we can't put Riley and Wise together. Can we put Mitchell and Wise together? We can't. Mitchell is the odd guy out. He must be in a bucket that we only want to select one of. I think it's last year 3. Yep, that's exactly what it is. Mitchell and Aaron Wise, last year 3s. Not the same as Davis Riley. What are the other ones that we can match up with Davis Riley? Strokes gain 2s. Adam Scott's a strokes gain 2. That's what it is, because we have that as a max of 2 golfers to choose from. So if we actually go back to the buckets, go to our strokes gain buckets. Yeah, we don't want more than 2. As much as I like those 2 golfers, yeah, even the quality bucket here, 1.76 is the new max. It doesn't really move up. So that is what we're kind of hamstrung on. Putting Adam Scott together with Keith Mitchell. So basically this is what it is. This is what it comes down to. Keith Mitchell and Davis Riley are both strokes gain 2 golfers. You got to choose between one of the two golfers. And although Mitchell and Aaron Wise don't work together, that's because they are last year 3s, and I have that maxed out at 1. I only want to select at least 1 last year 3. You can change these if you'd like, but I don't care for them, so I'm not going to. Especially if I'm anchoring around Adam Scott. Just do, keep that in your memory banks. I just looked at the time. It's already been an hour into this. It's a good place to stop. So you're kind of able to see how my brain works through this when creating lineups. I think that's enough for today. It's a good strategy video. You get to see everything basically that I talk about when it comes to strategies. So let's move on. A reminder, there is an order. Link in the description, a group order to either pick one of these EcoSmart 50/50 t-shirts, maybe a perfect tee crew neck shirt. We do have a women's shirt available, as well as a hoodie, a pullover hoodie. All those available to you with all these different sizes included. If you do want one of these, once you put your order in, it's going to give me your contact information, which then I will reach out to you. Once this closes, I will ask for payment. Each t-shirt's $12. The sweatshirt is $40. So entirely up to you. Let me know if it interests you. Again, link in the description below. It'll just say group order here or something like that. Custom ink group order with the link. Copy that, put it in your browser. That way you can see it. Cheat sheets available. Obviously, we talked about that earlier on. Link in the description below as well. And then the optimizer is available. If you want this, reach out to me, SweetSpotDFS@gmail.com. And then what we have are $50 giveaway. Gotta be subscribed, comment down below. That's how you get an entry into this giveaway. I did do a preview video yesterday. If you want an additional one, go comment on that one. I will have a prize picks video tomorrow. Go comment on that one if you're interested there. And then also share on Twitter. That'll get you an additional free entry. You get up to 4 free entries into this giveaway. If we reach the goal of 450 subscribers by the end of the week, we'll run this for $50. If we don't, we'll rerun it. We'll rerun it next week. That's a hard one to say. Rerun. We'll rerun it next week for $40. And all your entries from this week will go into next week's. And so on and so forth until we either hit the sub goal or I shave off $10 enough where the giveaway goes down to $10, which we actually just did yesterday. So up to you guys. And then if you want to try out prize picks for free, link in the description, put an initial deposit of $20 in your account, and I'll give you that $20 back. Simple as that. That's it. That's all I have. So thank you guys for watching. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next one. All right, bye.